start this match. Okay, so our remote duel playmats looking good and ready for some cards to be played on them. The die roll, I would say, is probably the least important we have seen until now. Both decks are actually really good at going second as well. And I would argue that they might just choose to go second if given the option. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were Lorenzo, I would ask anyways opponent to if he plays an extra deck, because you know Lithium is known for playing Monarchs, so maybe he could get this information prior that the game starts. And but I think going second would be the best option for both of these players, and I don't think they are going to have any problems by going second. Also because the Domain of Monarchs doesn't deal that much problems against the Dinosaur deck.
Yeah. At the same time, I gotta say, Dinosaur is a deck that can save second, just like we saw last match against all the decks of the format, while Lithium deck should go first against any extra deck strategy. So since they don't know what their opponent is playing, I would say that if Lithium wins the die roll, he's gonna go first. And that's what happens. So Upster Goblin comes down from Lithium. A card that also Lorenzo loves to play, as you won with it in quite an unusual way. Yeah.
We're gonna see if Lithium has some of the old combos of the Monarchs back in the days.
So, once for one is one of the best cards they can pull off here. As you can get the idea from the deck, so this is probably the one card that some players were skeptical about using. It's fantastic when you get to discard an Erebus with it, but otherwise it was basically something that was considered risky if you don't play enough monsters. But when you pull it off, it was the best opening from Monarchs, because you don't even use the normal summon, you get to have the additional summon from the Eidos, so absolutely great start. Now he just needs to have the Erebus, and I would say this opening is extremely good.
Oh, he has the Pantheism. Oh no, he's
okay. Yeah. The tenacity. So now he gets to add either the Domain if he feels like he's playing against an extra deck. And as you can see here on the screen, Domain of the Monarchs, absolutely one of the most powerful engine cards in this deck. Not only does he make your Monarchs smaller, so that you can only summon them with one tribute, but it shuts down the extra deck completely at the cost of not using an extra deck of your own, by the way. So let's say that Lorenzo already knew what he was up against when he asked his opponent the extra deck count.
Yeah, I mean, this deck was also one of the scariest decks to play against because of the extra deck. You cannot play any extra deck cards, but also because of the double normal summons you can make in the first turn. And let's now see what Lithium has in his hand. He can go for Idea, and let's see if he activated the Eidos effect.
Yeah, so now Eder comes down, and Pantheism is back at 3, as he said in the interview. So no worries of running out of those. Not only that he can use the second effect of Pantheism when he sends it to the graveyard, but he can get that back with Idea. And since he didn't use the first effect, he can also get to do that. So definitely an impressive start from Lithium. But what I'm worried about is that his opponent is using Dinosaur, or at least that's what should be happening here. Because if he had this opening against, I would say, any other deck of the format, this would probably be close to over.
Yeah, it would be enough also because most of the deck now don't play any out for kinds like Domain of the Monarchs. So I think Lorenzo could have some troubles here, but what if Lithium has something like Majesty's Fiend or Vanity's Fiend, because he can make another normal summon because he used the Eidos effect.
Yeah, let's see, there is... Okay, still a chance. He's gonna show. Yeah, I was also surprised since the Tenacity was already used. He just gets a copy of the Stormforth to his hand, also back at 3 for a while, and that's extremely powerful with the Eder, since he's gonna get it back in his hand in the end phase. He can set it up so that next turn, when his opponent summons a Tyranno, for example, he just uses the Stormforth, and then gets rid of it. He also has access to Kuras in his deck, which is quite an extremely powerful card.
Yeah, it's one of these cards that you can rely on in some situations in which you need to pop some cards on your opponent's side of the field. And but of course the MVP now is Ether.
Yeah, by far one of the scariest cards, as you said, back when it was released. It single-handedly made the deck one of the most powerful one of the format. I used to enjoy it a lot. It was just a little scary in the mirror match. I think it is considered by far one of the mirror matches that can last on for forever. And
yeah, remember that in 2014 there were players which used to play extra deck Monarchs and no extra deck Monarchs. So it was one of these mirror matches that you were really scary to play against.
Absolutely, but this is it from Lithium. Really good opening, domain plus the Stormforth setup. So that should be enough for him to guarantee the game. But now I think he's not going to be happy. He does see the fossil dig and he immediately knows what's up. Quite unfortunate, but this is the nature of Yu-Gi-Oh! Although this isn't the most straightforward tournament you can imagine, even in any Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament, the pairings matter, and sometimes you are that unfortunate to play against the match down you really hope you didn't play against. And by being a direct elimination, unfortunately, Lithium, just by the nature of the format, if he were to play against a different opponent, we could have seen him all the way up to the top 4 if he, for example, found the bracket of Schattenspieler. Here, we don't know. He might just lose right away, but he's definitely gonna put up a fight. Ooh, and we do see the one copy of Pancratops being drawn by Lorenzo, already in game 1.
Things are going to be very interesting now, because as you said before, the domain of Monarchs doesn't do that much in this spot. But I think it's really looking good for Lorenzo here. It's going to be a really close match. Let's remind you guys that Lithium has maybe the Stormforth set.
Yeah, pretty much guaranteed to be that. And thanks to the Miscellaneosaurs, which we are gonna bring up for you guys in a few moments on the screen, his dinosaur monsters are unaffected during this main phase, which means if he gets to destroy the Stormforth, it's not gonna have an effect right away. So
yeah, Lorenzo here is showing how we can deal with the domain as well. I mean, as you said before, it doesn't do that much. Deck can work pretty good without the extra deck.
Let's say where he wants to use these Pancratops as well, because there is also the Kurats that he needs to consider. Now he goes off pretty well. If he has a baby or a petite in hand, he can really go off. Oh, and I think he does have the baby. Yeah he does. Wow. I think it's the best opening possible from Lorenzo here, outside of maybe a Lost Word if he needed it. And now not only is he gonna get a double pill, but he gets to summon one from Petite, which could be the Rex. Yeah. Incredible opening.
Won't you destroy the Stormforth with the Pancratops? Because if he's able to put enough damage here, he could also use the Tyranno, which can attack all of his opponent monsters.
Yeah, for now he's not in a rush, because he didn't use the second effect of Eruptor yet. And he can just destroy the second baby, get back something from his graveyard, and still get a new summon, which is why I told you guys last round that Dinosaur is not only a deck that's straightforward, let's say. It has the option of doing all these crazy plays as well, given the chance. And Lorenzo, a super experienced player, is definitely not gonna miss on any of those if given the chance.
The Pancratops here is also really good because you can not only deal with the Stormforth, but with the Domain of Monarchs as well. So if he really wants to have access to his extra deck, he could destroy the field spell on Lithium's side of the field. He has a lot of options right here. Let's see what he decides to do.
Yeah. I think he is gonna go for the Pancratops. Let's see where... Is he gonna destroy the Stormforth? Biggest decision. No, he goes for the domain. Okay. Interesting decision. He does have access to Nightmare Phoenix, for example, if he feels like he wants to force out the back row and get a card. But at that point, Michelano would not protect the Phoenix because it's not a dinosaur monster. So, a close call here. Let's not count Lithium out of this yet, as we know he does have Stormforth and Nether, so quite a powerful combination. But Lagia can also come down. Okay, Dolka does instead. Which is actually kind of weird, right? Because as we can bring up on the screen, I would say Dolka is a dragon. So it's not protected by Michelanosaurus. Which means if Lithium just pays attention and thinks about his move, he's now in the position to use the Stormforth. But at that point, if he does, he needs to activate the Heather from his end, which is why Lorenzo went for this play, because he can negate the Heather with Dolka.
Here comes it. I mean, he's really... It's not easy for Lorenzo, but I think it's a good option. But on the other hand, Lithium has the Stormforth, so if he really wants to get rid of the Dolka, he could. And he also has the Prime Monarch in his graveyard as well.
Yeah, but now quite tough. I think Lorenzo played it really well. He knows all of his opponent cards and he has pretty much locked these out of the way, since he can negate the Heather with the Dolka. There is no option of using the Stormforth during this round. At the same time, he does need to try and close the game here. If he doesn't, then the Stormforth does become relevant next round. But right now, Dolka is really preventing any action from Lithium. He gets to summon the Gamma now from his deck, something quite unusual, but it is a tuner, so it's possible.
Yeah, maybe Lorenzo just want to see when and if Steven activates his Stormforth. Okay, here comes the Unicorn.
Yeah, he's just trying to push for game. He discards the Nibiru, completely useless in this matchup. Pretty sure we are gonna see those come out of his main deck once we go to game 2. And okay, he sends back the Heather. Just want to try and push enough damage. Right now he doesn't quite have enough. But
I don't think so.
Unless I'm mistaken, 45. Though, there is only one card in Lithium End, which is the Heather. I'm not sure if he has another one. And in that case, this could be enough. No matter what's the
but
top
also
deck
has,
is.
Lithium has also the Prime Monarch in his graveyard. So...
Yeah. So that's why it's... I mean, the Prime Monarch is not that big of an issue. If
because he has Tyranno.
Yeah, he has Tyranno. But now he does get to use the... Yeah, so... Okay, so...
Maybe the judges said that...
yeah, I think he couldn't summon for this turn, that's why they quickly fixed it. Okay. Yeah. So we can quickly go back to us while they fix the game state for a moment. It shouldn't be too much of an issue, they're gonna quickly fix it. It was just that, of course, due to the distance, we couldn't stop it right away, but luckily for us, it wasn't anything too relevant. The game state was easily reconstructed, but because he was locked, he couldn't actually go for the combo that he tried to do. I still think his position was quite favorable, so I think they already fixed the problem, so we can just go back to the match and continue game 1. Okay, so as we said, instead of going for the play, he just traded his own monster for the Linkuribo and then the secure Gardna, which means no matter what, Lithium is actually gonna get another turn. He's gonna take some damage from the Tyranno here, 1000 on the Idea. But outside of that, not really pushing that much.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he's risking it.
He's risking Lorenzo right now. Maybe he thought he could have game, but
Yeah.
it's not looking like that. Also because, yeah, indeed, now Lithium can activate the idea when he goes to the graveyard. He can bring back.
I mean, you surely negate that
Yeah.
with Dolka, 100%. No way. Like, I would be super surprised. Especially because he knows there is a Stormforth and the trap in the graveyard, so he has to negate here. Yeah. So Michelano gets to the graveyard and Idea is negated. At this point, he just push a few more life points of damage, but this is gonna be far from being enough. And at this point, he can just bring back the trap during the end phase and then use the Stormforth next turn, probably tributing either the Tyranno or the Dolka to get the Header on the board. And we might have actually a closer game than we thought in the beginning.
Yeah, this game is not over yet. Lithium has a lot of options. In the next turn, if he has another Pantheism, for example, he can send cards with Header as well. So this game is far from over.
Seems like this is what they're thinking about right now. He can banish Chu and get it. Let's see. I mean, I think it makes sense to just summon it in the end phase so that you get another summon if you need it later on during your turn. Also, he can use Eidos and Idea interaction as well. So it's definitely not over. A lot of possible plays from Lithium, and maybe Lorenzo got too excited about this opening end and actually gave Steven a chance to fight back.
Yeah, Lorenzo had a really good end. Maybe he was just thinking that he had game, but I mean, right now he's sitting in an okay position. Maybe he could have done something more. They're just doing some maths here, some clarification, and but I think he has quite some options to come back into this game, Steven.
Absolutely. And one of the most important cards he has access to at the moment is the face down Stormforth. I think it's one of the few cards that were actually played outside of the Monarch deck. When I don't want to quote myself, but like when I won YCS London, I also sided it in Shadow, and it was played in a lot of different formats just by the nature that it doesn't target and it can get rid of some of those Vanity and Majesty themes that were popular during previous tournaments. So
yeah, that's why also this was one of the hardest mirror match to play back in 2014. Monarch's mirror match were always crazy with comebacks and a lot of actions.
And now, as no surprise, he gets to summon back the trap card. He has the Stormforth set plus the Header in hand, so the setup is all there. I am definitely worried about Lorenzo right now. He can safely just activate the Stormforth, force the response. I think you are almost forced to Tyranno there, because you get the advantage from the baby too. So maybe the play would be to just destroy the baby and then get to the Oviraptor, maybe get a Miscellano, something along those lines. So at least you have a play for next turn, because otherwise I don't see this going too well. Let's see if Lorenzo decides to respond. It's tough.
Yeah, I think he has to Tyranno.
Like on one end, he knows that if he activates Tyranno right here, then his opponent can just safely tribute the Dolka, and there is no more interactions from his side, but he's also risking it because... Okay. Oh, he goes for the Kurals instead of the Header by tributing Dolka.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He might use this effect to destroy Tyranno plus one of his cards, so he gets a draw, but I'm surprised by this. I thought it would have been naturally better to just go for Header.
Yeah, this could be very risky. I mean, you could have summoned the Kurats with Ether as well. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see if at the end of the day this unusual decision is gonna work out for Lithium. He's definitely not afraid to take risks, and this is just showing right now. So, as expected, the Tyranno came down, but along with it came a draw from Lorenzo.
I think Lorenzo also chained the Tyranno on the baby.
Yeah. So now they're both gonna get to draw a card, and then the baby is gonna be activated, probably getting out of his deck Oviraptor, I would say. Yeah, no surprise, Oviraptor comes down. He does already have a Michelano in grave, but he gets another copy because he can use it. It's a quick effect.
Yeah.
So he can protect the Oviraptor right away.
I mean, right now is a really close match. I'm wondering if Steven has another copy of Stormford at the moment, because he's decided to normal summon the Kurats. So maybe he has another copy. Let's see. Maybe.
I mean, at the end of the day, you get to keep the Ether, which is a quick effect. So compared to the Kurats, maybe the reasoning from Steven was, if I don't use these Kurats now, I'm never gonna summon it. While I can always use the Ether during my opponent's turn. And he also has the option to just banish the Eidos from grave, so we shouldn't count. Yeah, and that's exactly what he's gonna do. So Eidos is gonna get banished. He gets the idea back, so a lot of advantage. He can get the domain, but I would say that's not the best card in this particular match. If he has another Monarch card in hand, he can get the Pantheism back too.
Yeah, he could get Tenacity into Pantheism. He has Ether in his hand, so he has quite a few options here. I think he has a plan, because otherwise he would have not have summoned the Kuras. Steven is now considering his options.
Yeah, quite a few things he can still do. Since he used the trap in the end phase, he still is able to summon one more. But he's missing the additional summon right now, because that's usually given by Eidos, and he didn't really go for it right now. He only used the effect of Eidos to get some advantage, but is he really going to be good enough? One thing I can mention here is that it just ended his turn. So Lorenzo, just like old times, we are getting to see a game of grind Yu-Gi-Oh, let's say. Both of these decks are usually good at locking the Dragon Link deck away. So one by summoning Tyranno, ignoring the extra deck restriction and just clearing the board. The other one, Monarch, by summoning either a Fiend or a Monarch alongside Domain. But when they are up against each other, then it becomes more complicated, and it's actually a grind game of resources, which we know Monarch is really good at doing. So as long as he doesn't die from life points, he should be good.
Yeah, Lorenzo is just showing how powerful Dinosaur is, and as you said, it's a grind game. Both decks are very good at it. But it looks like Lorenzo has quite a few different options to shut down Steven's strategy. Let's remind you guys that Steven has another copy of Ether in his own hand, and here Lorenzo is just summon another copy of his normal summon, and of Oviraptor, and he also has the Pancratops. Here comes another Dolka, which is pretty good.
Yeah, Dolka comes down once again, and I'm still surprised. I mean, he locked his opponent once more with Pancratops, because Ether cannot come down anymore. If Ether were to be used, then Dolka negates it, and I think you can fool Lorenzo once. I doubt you can fool him more than that, and he should find his way around this to just game his opponent. Right now I can see 2000, which maybe is not going to be enough once more. He needs to negate the idea from adding a spell back. But if you were to attack directly with Dolka, then he can still summon the trap back. And yeah, so he's gonna just, as expected, he's gonna negate it with Dolka. Try to push for game, but then the trap should come down. At that point, it's probably the best if you don't attack with Dolka, but you lose the attack so that you can attack with Tyranno and deal 1000 more. But it shouldn't be enough for little damage. So
yeah, it should have 1000 left.
I am considering why he didn't think about using the Pancratops and then continuing the attack with Dolka. That could have been just a game. But it seems like he's gonna give his opponent one more. But this is enough seen from Lithium anyway. So we do have a winner from game one, which is Lorenzo. I don't know, it's definitely an unconventional game one. It could have gone either way. Lithium gotta feel not the greatest just because his opening was really good, but the match down was just too much.
Yeah, this was a match that we were not expecting at all, also because of the different decks that we have in the format. But those two decks showed us that they can play a lot of different grind games, and Lorenzo was able to win game one. So let's see how he could deal with the side deck.
Yeah, now it's gonna be also an interesting match, I would say more for Lorenzo, because I'm pretty sure he didn't expect Monarchs at all walking into this. But again, we are gonna see the mind tricks that we are probably gonna be a consistent thing throughout the weekend whenever Dinosaur is involved. Just like it was in the past with decks like Invoked, whenever you know your opponent wants to go second, you either man up and let them go first, or just stick to what you're comfortable with and try to beat them anyway. For Lorenzo, I'm not even sure what he feels like siding in. The only cards I would be super confident are Imperial Order and the 2 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance. Those were usually sided even back in the day against Monarchs, so pretty safe.
Yeah, I think they are the only cards that Lorenzo will side in.
While for Steven, what do you think he's gonna bring in?
Well, I think Steven needs to go second at this point, because I mean the matchup is not the matchup you wanted to play against for sure, and he could set in other copies of Majesty's Fiend, which are very good against Dinosaur, and if he let Lorenzo start, he could set in also evenly matched. I think it's good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Steven choosing to play second. If Lorenzo is smart enough, he probably just doesn't summon the Tyranno, but there are only 2 Tyrannos in the deck, and once you get rid of those, the match is much easier. He does have access to Majesty Fiend, once more, incredible tool against other decks, not so much when they can just get their ends to the Tyranno, but I gotta say that compared to the past, it's tougher to get to the pill. You usually get to the pill through effects, but they still have double Tyranno and 1 or 2 pills that they can naturally draw. So it's gonna be a pretty good bet. No matter what, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see a good game 2, but game 1 was particularly long, almost 30 minutes of game 1. Which means we might just see this go into time and then have a game 3 entirely in time. As expected, Lithium went second.
Yeah, and no, it went first because he only said 1 card and he passed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was very unfortunate for him. He couldn't draw a very good hand. And let's see here if Lorenzo can take advantage out of this, because it's not looking good for Steven, which unfortunately draw only 1 card in his set. So
yeah, definitely not what you want to see. I really hope that Lorenzo, because I picked the end gesture from Lithium, but it was actually followed, as you said, by setting a card. Very unfortunate opening. let's see if he has any surprise for us face down. If not, Lorenzo seems very comfortable to just take this one by summoning a bunch of dinosaur monsters. I don't even think Lithium is playing that many entraps in his deck, so let's see.
It's not looking good here for Steven, but I mean, what could he do? Can happen. And here Lorenzo, if he has like an Oviraptor or something, can make a lot
Ooh,
of damage.
he sets cards. Did he also brick on this hand? This is... wow! Oh wow, what a game. It seems like he also passed, so incredible, even though he opened Extravagance and basically got to see 7 cards from his deck, he also completely bricked. He does have the Anti-Spell Fragrance, but what a start from these two players. Both not getting anywhere, and if Lithium picks up maybe an Idea, and he already has a Monarch, then this game and this Anti-Spell Fragrance might actually be beneficial for him, because it means if he top decks Fossil Dig or the Peel, he cannot use them. So
Steven passed.
Yeah.
Which means that he doesn't have any further options, but wow.
When I meant grind, I didn't really mean just a top deck war where they just draw and hope that they finally can play a Yu-Gi-Oh card. But this is what we're getting, and I actually love it. So in the previous matches we saw, especially in round 1, 4 turns match. Now we're getting this. Okay, so Eidos comes down, he uses the effect, maybe he has one of the Fiends. That could be devastating in such a simplified game state. Yeah, ooh, and Vanity Fiend comes down. Vanity Fiend is basically one of the most powerful options in his deck. I can also agree with it, because I was citing it at the World Championship, essentially for this matchup against Dinosaur. They basically have no outs in their deck, and the same goes for Lorenzo. He has very few options to play around this, and it all depends if he decided those or not.
Yeah, I mean, by activating Anti-Spell Fragrance, I think Lorenzo thought he would have go first at this point, but
yeah,
it doesn't look like... Okay, he has another Extravagance.
Wow. Here.
Well, really needs to pick up something, but...
At the same time, if he just banishes 6, he's also left with a free card extra deck, which is not pretty. It means that the only actual resource in the deck are the Tyrannos. So that's going to be a complicated thing to deal with. Let me check real quick Lorenzo's list, because I have doubts he even has an out for this. So in the side deck, I do not see any outs. While in the main deck... I'm not even sure if he has. Do you see any?
I'm not sure. No, he doesn't have.
It's tough. Like
maybe he just wants to grind a little bit and see if he can come back. But
probably the only way to do it is through like Lost Word. If he can get the Vanity to just lower his attack and then find a way to get something. But like the Oviraptor would be 2300, so a little short. Gonna be tough. So. If you're in this spot, do you also consider picking up your cards? Because if Lorenzo was ahead in life, then I could see his strategy of just probably waiting out these 6 minutes by like setting monsters face down, because you know the Monarch deck is not that great at pushing damage. But now I'm worried about Lorenzo, because if these 6 minutes are gonna be over before game 3, they get to roll a dice as well to decide who is gonna start, and it can change the match completely. So
yeah, I mean, I would expect Lorenzo thinking about this as soon as possible, because like he's a quite experienced player, and he needs to consider that going into game 3 means that he would need some time. And at this point, like almost 5 minutes left, and I think he should consider going into game 3 at this point, because otherwise you're just wasting time. You know?
I don't see what he can draw. I don't think, at least for what I'm reading on the deck list, that he is playing Impermanence. That would be one of the most ideal outs in this situation. And yeah, it's definitely
it would be very dangerous, because if he
Yeah, he can
goes
lose in time.
Yeah, he can lose in time.
Because if they get to have a game 3, then Lithium can actually change his strategy and go second, and at this point he can push the damage. It's also entirely possible that Lorenzo doesn't feel threatened at the moment, and he's gonna pick up his cards when there are like 4 minutes left. That way he's guaranteed not like to decide who is gonna go first. Then he lets Lithium start, and he tries to just push enough damage, OTK, or if the time is gonna be over by that point, just win by life points difference.
Yeah, that would be a reasonable choice. I think he just wants to see all the cards he can.
I don't think I have ever seen a triple pot of extravagance game, so all of his extra deck is banished by extravagance, all of those 15 cards. Definitely unusual, but again, yeah, just stalling a little bit, setting a monster, hoping in the...
hoping to survive another turn.
In the god of cards. But I think we are gonna see a scoop from Lorenzo pretty soon. We are approaching now the last 4 minutes, and yeah, Anash comes down, but I would be really surprised if he was not to pick up his cards now. He's really risking otherwise losing the match to his own.
I mean, he will compromise the whole match at this point also, because like when time is up, it's really difficult to play against Monarchs. So
yeah, absolutely. They are really good at not taking damage and actually stalling and grinding the game. An attack comes down, yeah, no surprise, Petit Pterodon gets destroyed, almost at the 3 minutes mark, so coming into dangerous territory for Lorenzo, probably gonna take a look at the last draw and decide whether he thinks this game is comfortable. He does use the Lost Word, so maybe he thinks there is a chance now. Let's see. So now the Vanity Fiend actually has 500 attack less, which means he is 1900. But I struggle to see
I can't really see how he can
a monster that can attack over it.
He didn't consider the time at this point, because I'm surprised. I mean,
okay, so he does have the Oviraptor, so he's gonna use the effect, but he cannot use the Lost Word because of the Vanity Fiend though. So he cannot summon. Yeah, I think they noticed real quick that he cannot summon the token. He's only able to use the first effect of Oviraptor. Maybe he has something that can be discarded to get his attack higher, but at this point I'm even worried if he does that, how does he deal enough damage? Like,
I mean, he should come back.
I think there is not enough time. Like, what I mean is, even if you were to completely get rid of the Vanity, I don't think there is enough time for him to win the duel. At least in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, he just passed. Yeah, I mean,
he just passed, and I'm really confused to what he's going through his head.
I would have expected him to score way earlier. Like,
yeah, I mean, at this point it doesn't matter too much. I'm pretty sure we are going to see a game 3, and for now, all of our matches have gone to game 3, so not much of a surprise. It might be though the first time that we get to the end of the round, which is definitely a first, and it's gonna be interesting because these decks, I think if Lithium had a chance, it was probably something close to this. I told you even before the match how I thought Vanity Fiend was gonna be the key card for him. If he managed to draw it, then I thought he could have some chances. Well, I was really skeptical that he could win the here without the Vanity. But
yeah, it looks like we're going into a game 3 very fast. And I think at this point, if I were Lorenzo, I would let Lithium start.
Yeah, but he cannot choose if he doesn't scoop. That's the thing. So that's why I'm really confused to his strategy, and now there is not enough time. Like, there are only 30 seconds left, so even if he were to scoop, he needs to, unless he doesn't want to side at all, he cannot even decide. And I'm confused because now he wouldn't even be able to side if the time is over. So maybe a big risk taken by Lorenzo, because if now he loses the die roll, Lithium can just as a 50-50 to win it and go second and deal the damage. So it's gonna be tough. Let's see. So time should be called approximately right now.
Yeah, the players will.
There might be a small delay,
yeah,
of course, between the communication from the judges, but one time it is called, it's clear that Lithium is the winner of game 2. Okay, so we are waiting on the final confirmation. If, as we think, time is gonna be called, we are gonna go to game 3 and the score is gonna be 1-1.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I'm very surprised that Lorenzo didn't think about this whole situation, because like he's a really experienced player. He has played a lot of tournaments, and
yeah, I mean, it is a new mode, of course, for everyone. So maybe he just didn't pay attention to the clock particularly. But as you said, if we were to expect something like this out of one of these two players, not to take anything away from Lithium, but the tournament experience as a player is definitely much more on Lorenzo's side. Yeah, we are pretty sure that now they are communicating with the players to give them any idea of the time. But for now, we can quickly go back to us, and then we are gonna have game 3 soon. So as expected, time was called, and Lithium was pretty much the winner of game 2. At this point, just like when you are in top cut of a YCS or a big tournament, the rules are a little more different than what you see during the Swiss round. First of all, a die needs to be rolled to decide who is gonna pick first or second. And once that happens, we are gonna see, just like the old days, a 4-turn game. So they get 2 turns each, and at the end of those 4 turns, life points are looked at, and a winner, if not already declared, is gonna be chosen. This is actually quite interesting because they cannot use their side decks as well.
Yeah, so maybe Lorenzo could have an advantage, because as we've seen in game 2, he sided in anti-spell fragrance, so I suppose he sided in cards for going first.
Yeah,
but now there's the dice roll, so
it's very strange.
Changes.
So on one side, we can safely assume that Lorenzo thought, just like we did, that Steven was gonna go second, and he sided for going first, which is now very weird, because if Lorenzo wins the die roll, he wants to go second, but he sided for going first, so he needs to take a risk. I think it's very tough. I would probably still go second. Yeah. Because you don't only have 1 turn, but you have 2 turns each to close the game. But anyway, our players are almost ready, so we can go back to the table to see how this is gonna shape up. Okay, as we said, they are just rolling the dice right now. It seems to me like Steven might have won it. Okay, a nice virtual handshake here. Both really sportsmen. And now the biggest decision of the match. Who is gonna advance to the top 8? Is it gonna be another content creator? Is it gonna be another player? Who is gonna start? Is it gonna be Lorenzo? Biggest decision of the match. I think Lithium is gonna start. Okay.
Wow.
So Lithium wins the die roll, and no matter... Ooh, and the Ash Blossom. Wow, this could be a quick one. So he opens 1 for 1 like in game 1, but this time Ash Blossom comes down. Ooh, but he has the Majesty Fiend this time. So a different one.
If he has the Pantheism, this is gonna be
terrible,
because he picked the Prime Monarch.
Absolutely, I think he has the Pantheism for sure, since he declared the Prime, as you said. we can safely assume that he has Pantheism in his hand. Ooh, and he does. So very interesting opening here from Lithium. We thought that the Ash Blossom could have been enough, but it actually wasn't at all. He goes for the Pantheism, and then he is able to just combo through and possibly end on a Majesty Fiend.
And now things are really getting bad for Lorenzo, because the Majesty's Fiend, if we see the Majesty's Fiend coming down...
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not as strong as the Vanity.
Yeah, of course.
Like, the Vanity, on one end, is worse, because if he had it in that spot, he couldn't have used the Tenacity, because the defense is not 1000. So only Majesty has that synergy, that's why it's better in a way in this deck. But specifically against Dinosaur, we know that he can have some outs against the Majesty. But they're still both really good, so he's definitely happy to open like this. Ooh, and he even gets the continuous spell, which means he gets the Adder potentially to his hand for next turn.
He also has the Stormford as well.
Yeah, this seems like it's such an unbelievable opening. At the same time, compared to Vanity, one of the reasons why it is worse is because you cannot use the Adder while Majesty is on the field. So the Stormforth is more of a, if you get rid of my Majesty, then maybe I can use it. But for now, not gonna have much of an impact. Now it is all on Lorenzo. He gets to draw a card. He really needs a way to play around the Majesty. Not super easy, but...
I think only Pancratops could be...
Yeah, Pancratops is probably the best card he can have. Outside of that, even if he has a small dinosaur, he can use that to link summon, and then use the peel if he hard draws that. But
it's not gonna be easy.
No. Especially because if he gets rid of the Majesty, but uses a lot of resources, then the Stormforth, it's just way too much advantage for Steven.
Yeah, he needs to deal not only with the Majesty's Fiend, but with the Stormford and Adder as well, because if he gets rid of the Majesties, now he could have other problems. Also because Steven would be able to activate the Prime Monarch on his graveyard and then tribute one.
Yeah, he doesn't even need another monster right now, so he's all done. And you can see Lorenzo really having to think about this. I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting to face against the Domain Monarchs, and he opens with the Lost Ward, which is a pretty good one, because he gets to summon the token, so he can use the full... Ooh, and he does have the peel, so... Probably the best possible way that Lorenzo could have answered this this board. Not only does he have the peel, but he has the Lost Ward, which means he can get a token down. Interesting. So
at this point, what would you do? You activate anyway Stormford, and then you special summon Prime Monarch.
The problem is you cannot do that, because then your opponent can just attack over everything, since the Majesty locks you down. So right now the Majesty is doing more damage to Steven than it is doing it to Lorenzo, in a way. So if you enter the battle phase as well, then the Ether is kind of locked. It's quite a complicated scenario, and
yeah, Lorenzo is now considering his options. He can deal with the Majesty's Fiend. He needs to remember that Steven has Ether and Stormford set, so it could be a problem. Yeah, he's entering into battle phase.
Yeah, so the Tyranno really showing why it's the best card in the Dragon deck by far. It has so many different roles. Not only is it one of the best cards offensively, because you can attack over all of the monsters, but it's also like really good to as a defense. You can use it as an interruption. So many different things in just one card. And by attacking over the Majesty first, he can then attack over the token and use the Lost Word as he is doing.
Yeah, and right now he gets a lot of advantage by special summoning the Oviraptor, and they can search another Dino Monster.
Yeah, as you can see here, Tyranno absolutely the star of this deck. a lot of advantage goes for Lorenzo, and not only that, he's pushing the damage meanwhile, which is gonna be an issue because Steven only has one more turn.
Yeah, things are going to be very difficult for Steven. Lorenzo was able to come back by hard drawing the pill, the double evolution pill, and here it's going to be very hard for Steven.
Yeah, it's tough. We know that Monarch are really good at grinding the game and out-resourcing their opponents. But when you put a clock and tell them, okay, you need to deal like 2,000, 3,000 life points, it's just one turn, sometimes that's very tough. One way to do it is Kurats. So if they can get a Kurats down and give 2 cards to their opponent, but then just push the damage they need, that's fine. But Lorenzo has a whole other turn compared to Steven. So not only is he in the driving seat, but if Steven is able to just get an advantage, then Lorenzo is not even done. He has another full turn.
Yeah, it's another full turn to deal with Steven's board, and
Yeah.
not only Steven here needs to deal some damage to come back into the game, but he also needs to quite recover for...
Yeah, and we saw just... Okay, now we're, as you said, we're gonna see the Stormforth come down. Does he... Yeah, he's gonna use the Michelano though. So very well played by Lorenzo. Since we are in the draw phase, I imagine like that's what I'm surprised, because you can only use Michelano in the main phase. So if Lithium actually used all of his effect in the draw phase or standby phase, then with turn player priority, Lorenzo would have not been able to use the Michelano. So what I think he should have done was, during the standby, use the Stormforth. Once it goes to the graveyard, you banish it for the prime. And then in the main phase, you are the turn player, you have priority to just tribute your opponent monsters.
Yeah, also because he knew Lorenzo had miscellaneous service with the Oviraptor, and it's not gonna be easier for Steven.
Yeah, so maybe here we see a little bit of a mistake from Steven. Or maybe not. Let's see. Maybe it is Lorenzo who activated it during the standby phase. They are definitely asking about it. We don't get the audio from the players, so we do know that one of them, let's say, wasn't paying too much attention. If it's Steven, it could be a game changer. But if it's Lorenzo, it's entirely up to Steven, to be honest, because it all depends whether Steven clarified that he wanted to use the Stormforth in the draw or standby phase. And I don't think he is, because Michelano is staying in grave. They're probably talking about this.
Yeah, the thing is, if he didn't enter into by declaring draw phase and by phase, it could be like some sort of an issue. But I think it can be easily fixed here.
Yeah, it's definitely not too much of an issue. As we said, and we are gonna get it up soon for you on the screen. Michelanosaurus can only be used during the main phase. So although very powerful, there are always some conditions, or at least almost always some conditions for Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and you need to pay attention to all of them. In this specific case, if it was Steven who didn't pay full attention to the situation, it's definitely game-changing, because as I said, if he goes for the Stormforth plus Prime in the standby phase, then Tyranno is gone, and you get to attack over Oviraptor, which means you get ahead in life, potentially. You get a card back from the continuous spell, and although Lorenzo has one more turn, maybe you have a chance.
Yeah, also because you could search for your return and then special summon the other. Okay, maybe they clarified the whole situation here.
As we thought, it was unfortunately Lithium who activated the Stormforth too late. So it was already the main phase, and Lorenzo just chained his own Michelano, protecting his dinosaurs from being tributed. And now it's tough because we also knew about the Ether, but we are not sure if he has a 1 tribute only. And if he doesn't, he needs a way to just get rid of a monster. Quite unfortunate, because we also know that if you were to just go to the main phase 2, then the game is over, because it's his last turn in which he can push the 1600 life points. Okay. So he tributes both to make Ether, and then the continuous spell. And as you can see here, we showed you guys on screen the Miscellano.
And now he's resolving Ether and the return of the Monarch as well. So he will be able to add one monster from his deck to the hand, and also he will get another monster from Ether's effect, and he will send 2 Spell Shock cards directly from the deck to the graveyard, thanks to Ether's effect. Okay, it brings back another copy of Ether, and here Steven is able to deal some more damage, and also by the moment that he got another monster for return, he cannot use the Pantheism to get, for example, a Tenacity or another copy of Stormford as well, if he really wants to. So he has quite different options.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, Lithium is just trying his best, because this is the last turn that he has to deal some damage. Lorenzo has yet another one, but it's now looking more like Steven's game. So just like in game 1, we are gonna see quite a grind game. Unfortunately, I wish we had more time to just play it out until the end, but we might actually get to see that next turn. So.
Yeah, the game is not over yet. Here Steven just trying his best to come back into this game. He's now searching for Tenacity. He revealed another copy of Majesty's Fiend in his hand, which means that he will be able to search another card with the Tenacity.
Okay. And as you can see, once again, while he goes through his turn, we can just clarify to you guys that, as you can read from the Miscellanosaurus effect, it protects your dinosaur monsters, but only from activated effects. And although you do need to activate the Stormford, the part that allows you to tribute doesn't start a chain, which means that the Miscellano is actually ineffective against the Stormford. It's possible that Lorenzo didn't know about this, and that's why there was a little bit of a confusion from Steven. And our judge, which we want to thank for their job, were very quick to clarify to both players the correct ruling.
Yeah, and now Lorenzo really needs to come back in the game. This was the whole match, basically. It's not going to be very easy, also because Steven has another copy of Stormford.
Yep.
He revealed Majesty's Fiend, and he has another Ether. He has Prime Monarch if he really wants to defend his life points. And now Lorenzo really needs to take care of this situation. He's down in life points, and his last turn.
Yeah, I mean, the life points difference isn't huge. Only few 1200, but he does have a lot of ways to prevent it, because Tyranno has to be one of the cards, but as we just learned from everyone at home, you cannot really protect it from the Stormford. So I'm definitely worried about Lorenzo, and we might have just like in round 1. The outsider, let's say, and the content creator actually surprising everyone and beating the more, let's say, prepared in a tournament environment of the two. So.
And now Lorenzo is trying his best to come back into the game, searching for his cards with Oviraptor, and if he's able to push some damage by summoning the Tyranno, maybe he has a chance, but you cannot forget Steven has another copy of Stormford. So
Yeah.
it's not gonna be that easy.
I mean, and this is just Yu-Gi-Oh at its finest. You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and even though you play and just prepare a lot and are super comfortable with what you're doing, sometimes your opponent just has the right combination and wins a match where the odds were entirely in your favor. I have some experiences, and I think everyone has experiences like that. I remember one of the most memorable for me was having a season where like I won OICS, I was doing super well, and then I went to the European Championship and I lost on stream to a young kid who was actually living nearby the venue, and it was like his first event ever. And I mean, I just lost 2-0 breaking on stream, and I mean, you know, that can happen, and it's part of the game and part of the reason why we enjoy watching it and playing it, to be honest. It's the most fun. So I do love an underdog, if you ask me. So
let's see if Lorenzo can... I mean, it's not easy in this spot. He's doing his best, but I think maybe Steven wants to wait as much as he can to activate his Stormford. Maybe here Lorenzo could go for Dolka. So Steven really needs to take care of this, because if he goes for Dolka, then he has access to Tyranno, which means that it would be a problem for Steven's Ether.
yeah, I think if Steven doesn't pay too much attention here, he definitely risks it, because that's what happened in game 1, where Lorenzo, as you said, summoned Evolzer Dolka, and that was just way too much because he shut down his opponent Ether.
Yeah, I think Steven now knows that Lorenzo will go into a XYZ summon, so he really needs to consider this situation, because otherwise will be risky for him. I mean, it will cost him the game. I don't think Lorenzo has any other options at this moment. I think he can.
Yeah, it all depends if he has the other Tyranno. I would be I would be very surprised if he like sided it out or anything like that.
Yeah, he's just thinking about it very hard. He doesn't want to make any mistake at this point. It's very close. It's very close. Let's say that this move could cost him the game.
Yeah, to be honest,
it's not easy. I think
we also have a doubt because he used the extravagance, so there is a chance that he just banished all of his copies of Dolka, which is something to absolutely consider. If that was the case, it would be a way unfortunate lost for him. Again, something that can happen. It happened with Pot of Desires, and it can happen even nowadays with Extravagance. So, not the best way to lose, but as we were saying, we're just gonna check out real quick and have some more clarifications about the rulings. It's something that always happens when you're playing against other languages, let's say, and especially decks that are not super familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, back in the days Monarchs was very, one of these decks that was very difficult to play against.
Yeah.
And it's still rocking. I mean, Steven is showing us that the deck's still strong, can play against all the meta decks, and also against an underdog, because like Dinosaur, I mean, is for sure one good deck for the format, but I mean, maybe he wanted to play against Dragon Link, and also it was down 1-0. But maybe I think he can get this one.
I mean, they for sure both had rather play against other of these players than against themselves. I can tell you that much. But they both showed that they are very comfortable with what they're playing, and then they are good at improvising and just adapting the strategy to what their opponent are playing. So in one case, Lithium with the side deck, and in game 2 especially the Vanity Field. And on the other end, Lorenzo with his Anti-Spell Fragrance and also decisions in game 3, which he's currently having of just pushing for damage going second, and yeah, I think it's not much of a surprise. Although they have very different backgrounds, they've all been in the game for pretty much 15 years, I want to say. And even though you tend to forget a few things, they have been through Monarch format. It's both their favorite decks, they said. And they have been through Dinosaur back when in 2017 it was really popular. So they know the decks, and although it has been a while since they were both playing against each other, I'm sure they can just adapt real quick to what's going on.
Yeah, I think the key factor for the whole match is Steven being very experienced with the Monarch deck. I mean, although he didn't play that many events, he has been around Yu-Gi-Oh! For years actually, and he's proving that he can play against such experienced players, also because he really knows his cards, he knows what he's doing, and Monarch is still here. So he can maybe advance into the top 8, and hopefully we will see it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, again, we already have the first top 8 match line, which is going to be Schattenspieler against Marcus Patel. But then here we have to decide whether in the next top 8 match there is going to be a content creator, in this case Lithium, or there is going to be an accomplished player like Lorenzo. This is going to be, I think, the theme of the entire weekend, where we have very popular players just clashing against each other. So, not quite sure. It can still go either way. And
yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that both of these guys are still here trying to do their best in this moment. Also because, I mean, I was not expecting a match like this. I mean, we have talked about it before. A lot of decks at the moment are different, playing different strategies, and I was not actually expecting Monarchs doing that well against a matchup that is not that special.
Okay, so now we can finally go back to the game. As we can see now, they are just reconstructing the game state real quick. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So he destroyed the baby to get the double pill, and with the baby he summoned Michelano.
Yeah, that's correct. And here Lorenzo is just thinking his options. This one could be the last turn of his event, and I think he just wants to think deeply about this, because he needs to get rid of the Ether, but also of the Stormfort. So I think he's now considering if summoning Dolka in this moment, because otherwise he would be forced to play around the Stormfort as well. I mean, it's not that it. I mean, I think at this moment you have to special summon Dolka, because otherwise, what can you do? I mean, you could special summon the Tyranno, but in that case, maybe, I mean, you have to special summon the Tyranno in this moment.
I don't know, he's risking it a lot, I think. If he, so he just activated the pill, and this can actually cost him quite a while, because the Stormfort is there. He didn't play around it, and this means Steven is more comfortable than we would have expected him to be.
Yeah, as we said before, Lorenzo had two choices: special summoning Dolka or going for Tyranno directly. So looks like he just wants to make everything clear, and in this moment they're just clarifying some things, just to be sure that everything is fine.
Yeah, we don't want to have any kind of problems, and it's still an official tournament, so there are warnings given by our judges if required for slow play or just illegal activations that can happen sometimes. So we want to make sure, if we are playing in one of these events, that you just pay attention, just like in any Yu-Gi-Oh tournament you take part of. So okay, so now it's up to Lithium to respond. The only thing you can do is pretty much use the Prime in the graveyard or the Stormforth or both. But he really needs to stay focused because of the Kurats. So Kurats is really good at ensuring you're not taking damage, which is the #1 priority, because let's remember everyone, if you just joined, they started game 3 in time, which means they both got 2 turns each, and this is the last of the 4 turns. So there is no more going on with this match. It is gonna be over after this turn is over, and either one of them is gonna advance to the top 8. For now, it's still looking like it could be either one of them, and it's gonna depend on a few things. Tyranno sticking, the Stormforth from Steven, and that's about it. So
it's not going to be so easy now. I think Steven is just thinking about responding on double evolution spill. They're just making some clarification here because we want to be sure that everything is fine. Our players, can talk to each other, but of course, if something must be fixed, there's also the judge that we always thank for their jobs. And as we said before, I think Steven here knows what is coming. So at the moment, I think
they're gonna fix the game state real quick. It seems like Lorenzo, just like in game 1, got ahead of himself. To be honest, in the pre-match interview, when we could talk to him, we heard that he's super comfortable with the Dragon Link deck, and that's why I am surprised that he didn't decide to bring it. You can see that, honestly, if there wasn't his name and picture next to him, I would never take this player as Lorenzo. Usually he's never even doubting and playing at quite a reasonable speed. This time you can see that he has a lot of doubts while playing the deck.
I think he was not expecting to play against Monarchs. Although he played the format back in 2014, my baby just got a little bit of confused by playing against Steven, Also because, we all think that he could have done something better at this point in the game, but it doesn't look like he's in control of the situation here. There's not that much he can do at this point.
Yeah, the problem here, again, is the Lost Word doing more damage to him than to his opponent, and he might have just forgot about a little bit of the interaction. So unfortunate. Hopefully it's not gonna completely cost him the game.
At this point, you just need to understand if you can deal with Steven's field, but also with what Steven has in his hand. So I think he just doesn't want to make any mistake at this point, also for what he did before, but I don't know. I think he could have played something different, also because we're expecting some more from Lorenzo.
Yeah, there were a lot of decision making involved, and it is something that I have talked about for a long time. Just because of the nature of the game and how it has changed throughout the years, I do think that players like Lorenzo usually are better at playing the grind game, just because they have been playing the game for so many years. They've been through different cycles. Sometimes the game is faster, sometimes the game is slower. So usually they are used to it. But Lithium, although not only a player, he's also been around for a long time, and he's proving us that just like he's good at being behind or in front of a camera, he is good at playing the game itself. So
nice looking like Lorenzo decided to make his own move. Okay, he goes for Phoenix.
Yeah.
He wants to force the Stormforth at this point because I don't see other reason.
Yeah, but the problem is the Stormforth is not I don't think he even used it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And to be honest, even if you use the effect and try to destroy the Stormforth, the Stormforth is not a card that can be used. Like, you can just chain it, but you don't have to use it immediately. So seems like Lorenzo is in a lot of trouble. The Stormforth is now gonna be used, and he is gonna wait for his opponent to possibly enter the battle phase to use the Heather from his hand.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Steven could also summon Kuras from his deck.
Yeah, a lot of trouble. I think Lorenzo is almost done. I think the last card in his hand is a terraforming. If I'm right, I think might be over. And contrary to everyone's prediction, we might have Steven advancing to the top 8.
Yeah, we were not expecting this also because after game 1 Lorenzo was leading, but Steven was able to come back thanks to his Monarch deck back to 2014 with no extra deck. Very grind game.
Yeah.
He was able to resist, stay there, and do his job.
And if you needed to convince me about this Monarch deck, it was definitely here against not even the greatest of matchups. If he was to play against one of the extra deck decks, in game 1 he had Domain, in game 2 he had Vanity, game 3 he had Majesty. So every game Steven found a way to place one of those annoying cards. And although Lorenzo, just because of the nature of his deck, was able to play, in other matchups that would have been game over. So maybe Lithium really found the hidden gem for this event. I am definitely gonna be rooting for him if he advances, and
yeah, looking forward to seeing him again on stream. It's one of these decks you don't expect people to play at events, but also because it's very hard to deal with it, because you could not be prepared enough for this kind of deck. And at this moment they're just checking the chain links, I suppose, because Steven previously activated the Stormforth, and maybe now Lorenzo wants to respond to Steven Heather's activation.
yeah, as we know already, Lorenzo, unfortunately, by not knowing too much of his deck, also in game 2 had a few problems with like his plays and his chains, so it was given a warning for an illegal activation previously. So he really, I mean, although if he is eliminated here, it will not matter. You are gonna carry these through your next round. So you really don't want to get a game loss or a match loss for something like this. But it's still quite the professional environment, so we want to guarantee that everything goes smooth.
Yeah, I think they're just making some clarification with the judge here.
Yeah, I think we are gonna go back to us for one last time, possibly even to the end of the match right now. As we were saying, we are having just our judges go and clarify with the players about the match itself. And because Lorenzo was given a warning previously, now it seems like he's going to be given a warning for slow play, which is totally understandable, but nothing too much of an issue. It is just that he was really confused when he understood that the first play he had in mind was impossible. And he should in no time just go back on his feet. But from what we saw in the cards he has, I am pretty sure that unless a miracle happens, Steven should have this in his pocket. So
yeah, I mean, although this deck was very played back in the format, I mean, Lorenzo is having a lot of troubles with it, also because maybe he was not expecting it to be played. But on the other hand, maybe he just got a little bit of confused because you know, a lot of things were going on. Stormforth Heather, maybe some old effects he didn't really remember. So even an experienced player sometimes can make mistakes. This can happen. So
yeah, I mean, what I think overall throughout this match was clear to me is that Lorenzo didn't have his win condition in his mind. So he played well, but he played well like he's used to. So he didn't really took his technique and his plays and let's say made them kind of depending on what his opponent was playing. He just played as he's used to against a deck that you should actually know much better. But now we are back into the match. They clarified everything and they are able to keep moving. He has the option to use the token to his advantage potentially, but
the game state has been accepted, and here is still Lorenzo's turn. He's trying to win the game, doing what he can, but I think this is really looking good for Steven. He has the Prime Monarch to defend his life points. He has the Stormfort to get rid of one of Lorenzo's monsters. He has the Heather, he can break the Kuras, so it's going to be very difficult.
yeah, once again, same as before, these 1200 life points are what's making the difference between who is going to advance to the top 8 or who is going to lose here in top 16. And I don't really see a clear way to make it through.
I think this is one of the closest matches we've ever seen on live stream ever. Like, this is lasting a lot, and I think this is one of the best grind matches we've ever seen. So, I mean, I remember when Monarch was a thing, this happened a lot of times, but yeah, I mean, we were not expecting this coming also by facing a dinosaur deck, honestly.
Yeah. After watching these first matches, what do you think is the deck that you would have brought actually to this event if you were to participate as a player?
I mean, I usually play trap decks because I like them. So maybe I would have played something like consistent, but in the same time, that could have been explosive. So I really like the Dogmatica engine. So that it really fits well with the Invoked, as we were saying in the first round. And I think it's a very good deck because it's consistent as well, but also good for 11-round tournaments, for example. But for a tournament like this, I think it would be one of those decks that good players can play, but also, as we've seen before, also Dragoling is a thing. And I mean, it's one of these meta games in which you have so many different decks that is not that easy to understand which is the best deck. I think most of the players right now are relying on Dragonlink because it's the most consistent deck and can also afford to play more hand traps. But on the other hand, we were saying that the mirror matches are really difficult. So
yeah, I mean, overall, as you said, you have a lot of different decks all at the same pretty much power level. So it depends a lot more on what you're comfortable with, I want to say. In general, I would say that I also enjoy, and I'm curious to see later on, the Invoked Dogmatica deck. It seems like a very consistent deck that you can have a lot of techs and entrops in. So that's one that I want to see for sure. Combo decks, I mean, they are really good. I mean, the Dragon Link is potentially the best deck out there in terms of, at least as you saw, playing around entrops and just making up a really good board. But at the same time, it's also the most difficult to play at a really good level. We saw some next level plays from all of our players until now. You need to know when to play against and around the Drollenlock, Nibiru, and all of these different entrops. And that, I think, makes the difference between a good deck and the best deck, which is...
yeah, that's basically what we were saying before. Like, most experienced players relied on Dragonlink deck, and it would be really cool to know what they think about playing 40 or 60 cards. But I've seen a lot of people recently playing also Infernoble that we will see today, and is one of these decks that can really be played in a tournament, and it's one of these decks that's consistent and can play a lot of hand traps as well. I consider Dinosaur a very good deck, but I think is like considered as an underdog, just because there are Dragon Link, Infernoble, and Dogmatica invoked as well. But this is the second one that we are seeing so far today.
So it seems like now finally they figured out the correct way to continue the game, and we are gonna go back to the peel and getting added to the end. Okay, so now I don't see too much of a difference, unfortunately, for Lorenzo, because he is able to summon Tyranno most likely, but the Stormforth is still face down, and it does not target, so Lost Word is pretty much ineffective at the moment. Surprisingly enough, though, he goes for the Pancrotops this time. Not too sure what his goal is, because the Pancrotops is not the best at dealing damage at the moment, so he needs to summon Tyranno afterwards too.
I think Lorenzo is just trying to make some moves here to see if he can come back into the game.
Yeah, he needs to have the Tyranno are drawn, so now he banishes 2, goes for Tyranno, and not too sure how he finds the damage here though, because his plays are done. The Pancrotops can be used, but there are always going to be enough monsters for Stormforth to resolve, and this is exactly what we are going to see here. Stormforth comes down, then he's going to use the Ether, unless Lorenzo does anything.
Yeah, at this moment, if Steven gets rid of Tyranno, he would be anyway able to bring Ether to the field, and then if he really wants to, he can also summon the Kuraz from his deck. Let's see what he decides to do, if Lorenzo wants to respond here at this moment. If he wants to activate any quick effect.
I don't think he can do much about this, because as I said, I'm pretty sure the last card in his hand is Terraforming. I might be wrong, but if that's the case, then if he chains Pancrotops on one of these monsters, then...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change that much, because, I mean, you can destroy one card on the field with Pancrotops, but how do you deal with the Kuraz, for example, and another header? So, I mean, if he gets rid of the Tyranno here with the Stormforth, we are pretty much done. So, here comes the Ether, and maybe Lorenzo here could consider... Yeah. Okay, so is he activating the Prime Monarch as well?
As you can see, he goes for the Ether. He's gonna consider doing it or just tributing the token away.
Okay.
Probably makes the most sense. Lorenzo just checking to see if maybe the token cannot be used as a tribute. After receiving already a warning, you really want to make sure you don't miss any other small thing, but should be all good. So token is tributed, the Tyranno is tributed, and it's the last Tyranno Lorenzo has available, so it seems like it's way too difficult for him. Now gonna even use the Ether to send more resources for a next turn that I doubt is gonna matter, but...
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't really see how Lorenzo can come back into the game, because we have seen the Stormforth played by Steven and also the Ether. Now he's gonna send 2 cards with Ether from the deck to the graveyard, and then he's gonna add Majesty's Field with the Return of the Monarch, and...
Yeah, which is a really cool interaction, as we said, just by the nature of his stats, it is considered by all means a small monarch, so even if you just play the 1 copy, you can get it consistently after siding. And now he gets to summon maybe a Kuraz, or maybe just a Erebus. Yeah, he goes for the Kuraz.
At this moment, I think Lorenzo is realizing that
Yeah,
He doesn't have any way to deal damage, so
I don't see how he comes back from this. Kurats is gonna be destroyed alongside the return to draw 2 cards, and seems like after all these years, again, you never have to underestimate a deck coming back from the Forbidden List. This time it was Pantheism and a lot of the other cards coming back to 3. As he said in the interview before, it's pretty much the same. For Lost World, as we know, Aether is actually 500 attack points less, but that's not enough. It's gonna be 300 damage, and I think Lorenzo is gonna scoop afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's all done. Steven takes it 2-1. So let's quickly go back to us for a recap on this third match.